The mood is changing with Cena's Pipe Bomb 2.0, and the finals are set for King and Queen of the Ring, so let's get ready to stop the 10 count. I think we were all blown away by Pipe Bomb 2.0, so that means I'm on the floor and the ref is about to start the 10 count. So topic number one is, of course, Pipe Bomb 2.0, and nothing is quite like the original Punk Pipe Bomb back in June of 2011, but man, this one was also fire. And as George Lucas would say about Star Wars, it's like poetry, it just sort of rhymes. So after nearly 14 years, this was nearly a one-on-one callback to the original, and the most unbelievable part is that they were both preceded by a Cena Truth match, with Truth winning both of them, because Punk helped Truth to put Cena through a table in the original, and then this one ended with Cena using that title belt to hit Truth in the head. But since the last one was a tables match, well, Cena had to put someone through a table here, so he did that with Punk here, and I guess that Slim Jim table has a bit of a snap to it, as Punk seemed to be dead in the middle of the ring for about forever in the most uncomfortable position, just like Cena was in 2011. But of course, I do love the juxtaposition here between best in the world and greatest of all time, and I do love him talking like Punk did way back then, pointing out Punk's troubles with the prior locker room. But there is one and only one thing I didn't love, that is the naming of the three former WWE stars with their real and current wrestling names. But since Punk said hi to Colt Cabana, it makes sense for Cena to pick someone with CC initials to point out here, though I am pretty shocked they allowed a direct reference to AEW. Now, some would say that Matt Cardona and Nick Nemeth were really just pointing out a couple of young bucks with those similar first names to use some guys that WWE fans would know from past and present, and including TNA right now. But hey, I guess it's fine. They broke the fourth wall in this way, even though I'm sure Doc's brain is melting over this one, and pointing out that Punk is not the voice of the voiceless and is indeed a millionaire and Mr. TKO, all perfectly points to a direct comparison to himself in 2011. So no matter what, I am both excited and a little bit scared to see where this goes from here. So topic two is the King of the Ring semifinals, and this obviously paled in comparison to Cena, but I did enjoy what both Zayn and Orton had to say in the ring to each other and to Rhodes and Jay before their match, with Zayn saying he needs to finish his story, and that does now seem to be the story of the year, how much they keep bringing that up. And of course, Orton then saying to Zayn that he will be champion one day, but not at SummerSlam. And I guess that was a spoiler alert, because I was definitely a bit surprised to see Orton win this when Zayn is so beloved by the Saudi crowd. So I guess it was noticeable there were a couple boos for Zayn when he rolled out of the ring just before an RKO, but I won't hold that against him since everyone just loves RKOs that much. So in the end, I didn't love that Zayn went for a haluva kick a little bit too quickly after avoiding that RKO, but I guess it just makes it more realistic that Orton would be able to hit an RKO out of nowhere while Zayn was running at him. So I guess Zayn gets his consolation prize and that match with Cross finally, so I guess it's alright, and maybe that'll set up something bigger to win Zayn that Royal Rumble in January. And I don't have many feelings about Rhodes and Jay, just kind of went the way we expected. Jay looked plenty good, but ultimately Rhodes was just too much for him, as you would expect. But what was that cutter at the end? That was not a Cody cutter or a Super Cody cutter. I guess it was just a cutter that Cody did. Regardless, it looks like we are going to get that Rhodes versus Cena match earlier than I had hoped, since of course Rhodes is going to win this one, right? Oh well. Topic number three, that takes us to the Queen of the Ring semis, and it was a pretty good match between Asuka and Alexa, and they obviously had some history there as they were former tag champions together. But just like Rhodes, Asuka got her knees up on a twisted bliss that led right to the finish with that new Empress Impact. And I enjoyed this match, but it still had a couple of problems, one being that Alexa stopped herself from an earlier Twisted Bliss. She did play it off well by thinking that Asuka was faking it, But we don't really see that very often in WWE, so was this Alexa just being hesitant here to go for her move? Maybe not quite in the right position? Or was she not confident in herself? Or did she simply mess this one up and set up for that knee-stopping finish too soon, so she had to just jump down and make this match last a little bit longer? So I really do think this was a botch and not planned at all. But the other was simply Charlotte not being involved here in the finish, and I guess they got around to it later with Alexa coming out to try to help Charlotte, but it was not as good as a simple interference here by Charlotte. But it also means we got a heel versus heel match between Charlotte and Chelsea. Maybe that's a test for Chelsea to turn face. I don't know. But not surprisingly, Jade also beat Roxanne, but this was a rough match, as Jade had been impressive in singles action since her return until tonight. And I have to say, a lick followed by a chokeslam that didn't do very much damage is pretty weird. And also a terrible ending with a whiff on the pump kick, and then messing up going for a second powerbomb, or maybe she wasn't supposed to do that and was supposed to go right into the Jaded. I don't know, it does give me a little bit of pause on where I thought this was going, but I guess it still just makes more sense to roll with Jade here to set up a triple threat that we want to see later between her and Naomi and Bianca. So, oh well, let's go to topic 4, and this was a week of strong promos. And I already talked about Pipe Bomb 2.0 and also the 4 semifinalists in the King of the Ring talking together. And you know what, I also really liked Rhodes not saying anything in that segment. But what could he have said? He would have praised Jay, and that would have been no yeet whatsoever. Jay needed to say something, so he did, and the other two were great. And I also want to point out Knight and Heyman, that was a really good opening to SmackDown as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Sikoa said the exact perfect thing to get Fatu back into the mix, and of course Fatu just wasn't having it, which was the right call. I am surprised we are getting that match so soon, but hey, it'll be a good one at Night of Champions. And also points to Raquel for saying anything and getting her match against Rhea. And lastly, Gunther, he was on point in this one. I really liked him saying that he's going to make Goldberg's legacy die. So looking forward to that. So let's go to the winner of the week. It has to be John Cena. And you know what? He lost his match against Drew, so I guess he lost some points there, but it doesn't matter. This was promo brilliance at its best that you just never see, except I guess maybe once every 14 years. So maybe Punk is just his perfect opponent to really turn things around, because you have to admit this heel run has really heated up lately, and I really like last week as well, so I hope it doesn't mean that it ends at SummerSlam versus Rhodes, but at least we now have something good that the fans will remember about this heel run if it does, because the mood is indeed starting to change. And the truth is that the champ is here, so I am excited to see Cena versus Punk at Night of Champions. Next is our loser of the week, and unfortunately that is LA Knight. No? Oh well, it was great to see him shine in that segment with Heyman to kick off SmackDown, and he improbably got the better of Breakker and Reed at the end of that segment once he wrecked them with a couple steel chairs. But he ended up being the one getting wrecked during the match, taking 2 spears and 3 tsunamis, and as Cole said on Raw that he had a lot of injuries here, so it seemingly is writing him out of the storyline for quite a while, which just never happens to this guy. I mean, he leads everyone with 27 TV matches already, which is 5 more than anyone else, which is Penta in second. So let's hope he comes back pretty soon and gets a shot at either Breakker or Reed at SummerSlam, because if they keep him out past SummerSlam, that would really be a shame, because he does not deserve to miss that show. And lastly, let's go to the stats of the week, and I know everyone hates Nia getting another chance against Tiffy, but I hate to tell you, she's still the best option for this last woman standing match on SmackDown. Because if you take all the faces out of the mix, well, you're left with Julia, who's already going for the women's US title, and that leaves us with Naomi, who has the briefcase, so there's no sense in giving her a one-on-one match. Then we have Chelsea and the Hervis, who have been feeding wins to Zelina, so they have no credibility at all, because they are 4-14 in one-on-one matches and 6-27 in all matches combined. And that somehow includes Chelsea having the women's US title for the beginning of the year for 3.5 months, all the way past WrestleMania. So, I don't know, I guess we could have another Charlotte match, but she did just lose 3 matches in a row before finally beating Chelsea on SmackDown. And then lastly, there's Candice LeRae, who's lost 15 straight matches. So I think we just barely were able to stop the 10 count. But a quick note before we go, there will be no special Night of Champions Stop the 10 count, as I'll be celebrating a very special baptism on Saturday. But unlike Cena, maybe it would take a bomb to blow up this channel, but instead I'd rather have you just go right on over here and see all the important stats about WWE blowing up King and Queen of the Ring with all the faces winning this year. So until next time, I am the SportsZu, and this has been Stop the 10 Count.